man. We are back at it again. Pitch Invasion Podcast. This is episode 35. I am Zama Molloy, standing in for Lwazi Zikubu. Man, what a weekend of football.
36, episode 36. That's how deep we're in.
That's how deep we're in. Before we get carried away, I am with...
Hurting, wounded, in need of love, Ola Makwazi.
And back on top of the table.
Okay, yeah, well.
Emeka
Man City are going to win.
As of 12 p.m. The 6th of May. Ola, you've had you're hurting, you're wounded. Arsenal, one side. That your team is, I think you probably say trash at your angriest. Orlando Pirates. Oh, you know, when I think of the Orlando Pirates results against Cape Town City FC, if there was Arsenal Fan TV outside and DT was like, "We've got a bunch of bottlers out there."
No, look, I think in Pirates circumstance, I don't think they bottled it. Look, they came from a goal down and eventually went 2-1 up, and they had to park the bus at some point because the result was there. Yeah. And winning at Cape Town City has never been easy for Pirates. I think they've got 2 draws, 2 losses there in all competitions, so it's not easy. Plus you're up against Benny McCarthy, who in some way, as brief as it was at Pirates, has a bit of a legacy at Pirates. Yeah. I mean, with the treble and all of that, so he also has a bit of an axe to grind, because why would he want to, give Pirates any favors? So
I mean, you see, he rightly said in the interview, like, I'm loyal to the team I'm either coaching or I'm playing for.
Exactly. So. And he's got interests of his own. He was also within a shout of the title at some point, and there's also continental football on the line, so he's playing for his own interests. But I thought the guys really played well. I mean, coming from a goal down is not easy at any level, and especially a game of this intensity. They were just unlucky, to be honest with you. And, Wayne Sandilands had to come up with some really, really good saves. And, credit, like I said, to the team, because they withstood so much pressure from Cape Town City. I mean, at some point, Pirates could have easily been 3-0 down within the first 10 minutes of the game. Yeah. And for them to show that determination and just to have that sort of composure to collect themselves and go get the equalizer and eventually take the lead, it says a lot about this current Pirates team and the way Micho set up the team, which is something I've said the whole season, that Micho has set up the team, to go on the front foot. And I really like that. And that's what I saw from Pirates. So, look, obviously Sundowns have a game in hand, and I mean they had 4 games in hand and drew all 4 of those games. Yeah. So who's to say they're going to win this next game? And then you look at the last game, it's literally a showdown. I've got tickets. We're painting Orlando Stadium black. I'm going. Okay. The last game of the season. Hopefully Sundowns would have slipped up. I think the next game's against Golden Arrows, and
then they have Free State Stars.
And then they have Free State Stars, who also themselves will be hungry to survive. So that's not going to be easy.
It's not a given. Emeka, Michu says pretty much the mathematics is not really in their favor. So they're on 54 points, Sundowns are 53, but obviously that game in hand. Do you agree? Is it a foregone conclusion that Sundowns are gonna wrap this up?
Look, we've seen,
and they're out of the CAF Champions League, so
we've seen some incredible scenarios in this title race. We've seen it not just in South Africa, we've seen it in Europe, we've seen it everywhere. Teams right now, whether they've survived relegation or they're fighting relegation, the final games mean so much. I think they've come to a point where they kind of respect their fans, and they don't want to be seen to just give in easily. They want to win every game, and they want to go out of the season, with some good results. So I've always said that game in hand means nothing unless you win them. So Sundowns have got their work cut out. The good thing for them is that they know that they're out of the running for the second star that we so
thank God
gave them. Maybe we jinxed them, I don't know. But everyone expected them to win, and they couldn't find a goal. So that could be a pointer, because I remember speaking to Shukrani, who's the media officer, during the week, and saying, you beat Al-Ahly 5-0. Can you get 5 against Wydad Casablanca? And can they win? Because the Paris has a goal advantage against them as well. So even if they don't win and they get to a point where it's down to goal difference. So for Sundowns, they just have to go win those 2 games. And it's not going to be easy. For me, I think it's still going to go to the wire, to go to the last game, and then we'll see what happens at the end of the day.
I mean, like, for me, though, I'm looking at... So Sundowns are out of the CAF Champions League, but against Arrows, the Sundowns have won the last 5. They haven't lost to Arrows since 2015. You look at Free State Stars. The last time Sundowns lost to Free State Stars was 2011.
Yeah, the problem is that they don't have to lose to lose to them.
Yeah, but
can they win? Because
it's a case for me. I'm saying like these are games that a Sundowns B team can win.
Sundowns had a lot of games in hand.
Yeah,
and they drew all of them, and that's what put them in. I mean, they should have wrapped up this league title long ago.
Yeah.
So for me, until they win those games, it's still what it is. It's still a very wide open race. And we just have to stop looking at, oh no, this team can win. We've seen some really, really crazy results and some shocking results. I mean, Cape Town City, if they won the game against Paris over the weekend, doesn't put them in the running for the league title.
No, it doesn't.
But spoilers, but it's still it's not about spoilers. They have to get a result.
Yeah.
People who are trying to win are looking for a favor. It's not going to happen.
Did you see that stadium?
You've got to earn it.
Yeah.
You've got to earn it. And that's what we've seen. It's what I've enjoyed about this season, not just here, but everywhere. It's just the fact that for once you have teams digging in there and saying, we got to get a result.
One minor blemish, about the season for me is, the conclusion of the Sundowns saga with Wayne Arendse that has taken, a baby could have been had in that period that they took that long, right? And, a matter happened in August last year, gets sorted out in April. What's that, 8 months or so, okay? And I'm looking at it this way. Sundowns only get fined. They don't get docked points. If the rule says that is what the outcome should be, can I just see those rules? At least, can I see the rules that say if a team fields an ineligible player, whether the player has been suspended, whether the player is not on the team sheet, whatever that rule is, I just would like that transparency to at least see what the rule actually states. Because it's funny how they always give out, rule whatever point, whatever /B, whenever somebody has been let's say maybe a team has faced a disciplinary hearing because of crowd violence. I mean, we saw Bloemfontein Celtic get dealt with accordingly, right? When they failed to provide adequate security against Cape Town City. So there was a rule there. The rule said X, Y, Z. You see it when players get suspended for disciplinary hearings and so forth. They tell you this rule. How come? Right, in this Sundowns situation, I have not heard anybody, no media outlet whatsoever, bring out the rule that says, okay, if you field a player that's ineligible, here's the punishment. That's all I want to see.
I think that's it. I think that
because for me as a Pirates fan, I'm now saying that's now 2 seasons in a row now, right? Because we had the Ndoro situation where he scored against us and we never got compensated for that.
Yeah.
And now I'm looking at it now, Sundowns, fielded an ineligible player against Wits. And why aren't Wits also making a fuss about it? Because maybe that game could go to them and then
but wasn't it a case of like they're blaming the small thing of either that statute of limitation thing Emeka brought up a while back ago, and even the whole thing of it's like it was the match commission agreed. So
but there's a rule. I just want to see the rule. Whether the match commissioner still has to follow rules. One way or another.
I agree with you about they have to follow the rules. My problem is just simply, why take so long? Because they took so long. Whatever decision they took now will be deemed very unfair. Because it would have had a very, very grave impact on the outcome.
Emeka, let me ask you a question. Let's take this to Argentina, right? Buenos Aires. Okay, if Boca Juniors did this, how long before the River Plate fans arrived there at La Bombonera with petrol and some lighters and burned that stadium down because, they robbed the league title? How long would that happen?
Let's not encourage violence now.
No, I'm not encouraging violence, right? No. All I'm saying is go to Scotland, Hampden Park. How long would it take, right, for that to last if what you call the Celtic?
Okay, that would be Celtic.
Do you know what I mean? How long would it take? So my point is, also for Pirates fans not to be outraged at this, it's ludicrous.
Well, I think maybe
it's ludicrous.
It's interesting. It's actually maybe also points to a sign of maturity in that we don't respond to quote unquote injustices like that anymore.
But could it not be that people just don't know the rule, or maybe
I think also,
there is no rule about a player who's not on the team sheet?
I had conversations with people from different clubs about the same issue, and it would appear like everyone just kind of wanted it dealt with in a how would I put it? I think amicable way.
8 months, Emeka?
Because of how long it's taking. Because if you look at it, you have, I pointed out the last time also that the reason Ajax Cape Town are where they are today is because they didn't deal with their issue on time, and it came back to bite them, and they ended up being relegated. So for me, I think that the PSL has got to put their act together. They've got to try as much as possible to take a lead from the Premier League and even the English FA, how they deal with issues that come up. If it comes up, the guilty party or the offending party is cited. They're given a hearing, and the matter is resolved. Resolved. If there's a fine or there's a suspension or there's point docked, it is dealt with swiftly. You can't wait 8 months. I mean, because of Ajax, how long did it take? It took like the entire season. It was an issue that had to do with registration, which should be their own problem, because surely they must have in their database some tool that alerts them if something irregular is posted there. Same thing with the case of Arenze, because if he wasn't registered to play on that, or rather listed to play on that day, they should have it on their.
Hence, I say, can I just see the rules? That's all. I just want to see the rules, so I can say, okay, they made a decision based on this.
Go and Google the rules.
Yeah, I think I will do that.
Speaking of Ajax Cape Town are not coming back into the ABSA Premiership next season because a certain Stellenbosch FC have taken the automatic spot into the Premier League, into the ABSA Premiership next season. Relegation, promotion, playoffs coming up in that time. But isn't it amazing that we've got another Western Cape-based team coming into the Premier League? Premiership, that is.
I think it's great for us to see a team there, and also see a team that's not linked to a township.
Sure.
Listen, I covered that game yesterday. Some of the crowd, they don't look like they stay in Stellenbosch. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Look, it was, when I watched the game yesterday, I think, they only needed to, avoid defeat and hope that Royal Eagles lose, which they eventually did lose. And, it's great for South African football also, I think, to, and I want to broaden this on a racial standpoint, and I hope, I know this is a sensitive issue, but hear what I'm saying, is that I'm a firm believer that, diversity is what makes sports great, okay?
It's also one of the biggest untapped assets of South Africa.
Yeah, I think the diversity in sport is great. I mean, I watched I know this is cricket now, the CSA T20 final.
Yeah.
And, we were talking about transformation for all these years. And I see a Themba Bavuma captain who, leads that team, where the team, I think majority, or there's a 50%, black-white. And they won the whole, the whole tournament, right? And I look at Stellenbosch FC, and it's a largely colored-based team, obviously being in the Western Cape. And I think, that opens up another market into the league. It opens up and brings in another community and brings in another style of play, because when I look at the 96 AFCON team, it was the most integrated team I've ever seen in my life. Black, white, colored, and even Indian, okay? And we win AFCON.
Yeah.
And since then, we've had the token... we've had Matthew Booth, then that's it. Then we'll have Furman, then that's it. You know what I mean? I just believe we need to integrate everybody and get styles of play in there. You see it in Spain. They've got the Catalans, they've got the Basque, and they've got the Madridistas, and they go win World Cup, Euro, and so forth. So I think Stellenbosch's rise to the NFD and eventually now to the PSL opens up that market, and opens up that discussion, because I mean, some of our best players in our country, hello, Benny McCarthy, hello, Sean Bartlett, hello, Delron Buckley, are colored, right? So we need to ignite, the colored communities. Pardon?
Mark Williams.
Mark Williams. We need to reignite Quentin Fortune, right? We need to reignite maybe in that community and reignite that fire to say, look, guys, maybe we've kind of sidelined so many races.
Santos used to have
exactly Santos
a good contingent, and some teams like Vasco. But the one thing that I see with that whole arrival there is there's a conversation I had a few years back when Tottenham were here, and some of the fans came from Durban. It was the first time I heard from them that there used to be actually an Indian team back in the day that was very formidable. And when I think about how many teams you have from KZN that are in the PSL,
and the lack of representation.
And the lack of representation, we need to find a way to try and, as much as possible, get more and more demographics from different aspects of society. My son plays in the LFA here in Gauteng, and every time I go to those games where there's under 10, there's under 15, you find a lot of white kids that are very good players. Now, because some of them have maybe second passports because of their heritage, what happens is that they don't get tracked, and before you know it, a few of them end up emigrating to Europe,
Portugal.
Not just Portugal.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them from England
Belgium,
and Belgium, everywhere, and they go and nobody knows anything about. Once they're there, unless someone actually digs deep to find where they were born, you probably wouldn't know. Hans Funk, when he was keeper for South Africa, I remember I spoke to him during AFCON 2000, and he, and I was like, you're Dutch. Why do you feel inclined? Because he was born in Johannesburg. And that's something that SAFA, the local regional SAFA, and all of the local football associations, they need to find a way to track all of the promising up-and-coming players. And then, the one thing that shocks me the most, especially for a city like Johannesburg, is that all of the teams that are here, apart from Wits that are in the university, most of them come from the township. Are you saying that there are no kids who play football in Sandton? Or kids who don't play football?
I've had that argument
who play football in Fourways,
decades.
who play football in Randburg? You've got Randburg FC.
Now you see,
you've got in Rudiport, you've got a lot of those players. Yeah. So the way to widen the scope for talent, and also the diversity of the team, is to be able to spread this thing out there. And maybe this is one way, because with Stellenbosch coming through, somebody might decide, okay, look, I need to invest in a team in Sandton, I need to invest in a team in somewhere else in Durban, where you can get maybe some more Indian players. You never know.
I'll give you an example, right? I know I'm seem to be going off football to other sports. You look at the NBA. Right, the NBA also made that shift because a lot of the players in the up and early days were coming from the hard courts of the hood or the projects and so forth. You fast forward time now, Steph Curry's not from the hood.
No.
Klay Thompson's not from the hood, right? LeBron James, not necessarily from the hood, right? And those are some of the...
Well, he might disagree, but
okay. What I mean is he's not like, where Allen Iverson and them are, you know what I mean? Like in that back streets, right?
Those are, likes of Allen Iverson.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Those are the guys who come from the core of the projects.
Exactly.
And especially... not just the projects, but also the street ball culture.
Yeah,
the street ball culture. It's something that came out of places like Compton and some other
Harlem, New York,
Phillies, and so on. But a lot of them, that culture permeated, even the suburbs where the more affluent people live, because it's with basketball it became more of a lifestyle and a movement that was embraced by everyone. So the football culture here has got to be more than Castle flavor.
You are listening to the Pitch Invasion podcast, the podcast for football tribalists.
Well, I think on that note, well done Stellenbosch, Royal Eagles and Milano. They'll be, I think, is Ajax still in play?
No.
Yeah, so Royal Eagles and Milano United, they'll be contesting the relegation playoff battle there. To link that, Stellenbosch, Benny McCarthy, just one note, Saturday, I was at Huawei Joburg Day. TKZ were performing. They did Ishibobo. I still had goosebumps.
Yeah.
I still had goosebumps.
Still a good song till this
I still have goosebumps. And speaking of Bafana, Itumeleng Khune is not going to AFCON.
Yes.
Now, what does that do for Baxter's planning? Because obviously there was that contention of like, do you bring him back in, that kind of thing, in spite of his injury? Because now you've got Khune is definitely not coming back. We have Keat, who's on the sidelines at Wits and not playing him because he's not signing a contract. Discussion on who else would make up the three goalkeepers who are going to Egypt for Baxter.
It's been, I mean, we had a lot of drama around some of his choices.
Yeah.
But, he's got to look at it. Darren Keat obviously is going to be number one.
Yeah.
I would go as far as looking for, when Sundowns hasn't had a bad season.
No, he must go.
So you need to bring in someone with experience and someone who's got a presence, who, when the chips are down. I know with Sheikh Mashaba, we had this very weird situation where he played the 3 AFCON games with 3 different keepers. We're not going to have...
and also had 3 goalkeepers on the bench.
Bench,
yeah.
So,
remember that.
So we need to look at how we get this team prepared. If you have 2 good keepers, then maybe there's a chance to throw in, Rowan Williams, maybe.
I think honestly, the Khune situation, I'm not so sure about his injury, how long term it is, right?
Yeah.
I think maybe the social media side of Khune maybe dented people's image of him coming. I mean,
no, but if he's not fully recovered, how do you take him to
I don't think he's not fully recovered, to be honest.
But
He's
not going.
I know he's not going,
yeah.
but I think that maybe, because Khune has been up to a lot on social media, so maybe some of that
nice pose shots. We like those shots.
Do you know what I mean?
Like,
so maybe some of that has come into play. They're like, hey, you can't take this guy. You know what I mean? And I'm not so sure Khune is that injured that he cannot play. I think maybe there were other forces to do with it.
Okay.
But he's not going. And I think Wayne Sandilands listen, without Wayne Sandilands, Pirates are not even in the discussion for the league title as things stand. So, and he's done a lot to overcome, some of the demons he had last season and to take that position away from Banyana. So he's done a lot. So I think you have to get him on the plane. And Darren Keat, and to be honest with you, the 3rd choice keeper, I don't care even if they got him from an indoor team at this point. If you've got the first two goalkeepers are good enough. So
but what is wrong with Rowan Williams?
Yeah, I can take him if you want, but I mean, the first 2, Keith Sunderland, the 3rd one, really, how often does the 3rd choice goalkeeper play anyway?
Now, Banyana Banyana off to France. Great send-off for them for the Women's World Cup. What do you think is a respectable showing for them? Because they're in a tight group. They've got Spain. They've got China.
No, I think it's South Korea or Japan. One of those.
They've got China. They've got China's in the group. They've got China. They've got Spain. I think they've also got Germany in their group. So, what's a respectable finish for Banyana Banyana? What if you were Desiree Ellis? What are your thoughts around? We're going to France.
To be honest with you, I think Banyana Banyana have already won the moral victory. Okay. They made it to the AFCON final.
Yeah.
Just were edged out. And Timi Kgatlana, Player of the Year, Desiree Ellis, Coach of the Year. They've won the moral victory. I think anything outside of that, or anything in addition to that, let me say, is just a bonus. Getting to the World Cup, qualifying legitimately, not by hosting.
Yeah.
Hello, Bafana, right? I think to me, puts them up there as just, already national heroes. So, look, I mean, against Germany, the German sides at any level, men, women, teenagers, under fives, you know what I mean, embryos, like they're really lethal. So it's going to be a tough ask. I mean, Spain, again, same story. China's women's football is actually really, really good. And I know they invest a lot in women's football. So, for Banyana if they can at least, get a point of some sort, I think that's a great victory because, you've got to look at the context of women's football in the 3 countries that they're playing up against. We're talking about established professional leagues where women get paid on time, right? As opposed to playing, regional leagues and tournaments and so forth. So you're up against established orders. And I'm sorry to have to say, but Banyana's, just the establishment is not at that level yet. So I think anything, if they get a goal or 2, I think that's big. If they get a win, that is massive.
That's
if
huge.
they come out of that group, okay, each and one of those ladies deserve a house on the spot. So I think really anything, to me, they're already national heroes.
Emeka?
For me, I think that, they've got to try and not lose their first game. If they can get something out of the first game, then, who knows. If they don't go with the mindset that Bafana usually goes with, where they look at teams' rankings and look at some of those things. We've seen Banyana Banyana play with a free spirit, where they've just had a go at teams. If they don't cage them too much, out of fear, then going to the World Cup for the first time, I think they should just go and have fun. For me, it doesn't matter what the outcome is. Qualifying is a great step. Whatever they'll take out of this tournament will be there. Nigeria, the first time we went to the World Cup, we got hammered by, it was Sweden or so, I can't remember how many goals. And even our best performance in '99, we got to the quarterfinals. We lost our first game to the US by 7-1. But the girls rallied back and they got something out of it, and then they progressed. They lost even the quarterfinals very narrowly. I think it was to Brazil also. So the thing is, you've got to instill a certain sense of belief that you can get something, and for the girls, it's an opportunity for them to maybe prove that they have something to offer. Maybe they could get good deals as well. So that could be an incentive for them to try and get as far.
And I guess it's a showcase thing for them, for a lot of them as well.
Exactly.
I'm just hoping that a certain Temi Kgatlana has an inside track on some of the Chinese players that we're playing against, because she's recently gotten a deal to play in China. Now,
and I hope they don't pull these stunts. Remember in 2002 World Cup, a player by the name of An Jung-hwan in South Korea scored the goal that literally sent Italy out. Came back to his club and they cancelled his contract.
So, Perugia,
please,
you
please. I hope they don't come with these stunts. If Tembi Kgatlana scores the goal that takes China out of the World Cup and goes back, to like cold reception.
We've seen all of that before. But look, if Tembi has a chance to score 5 goals, please go ahead and score those goals, man.
Must score.
If China doesn't want you, England, someone else will want you, so don't look back.
Speaking of England, I'm not going to touch on Liverpool just yet. Ola, Arsenal, Manchester United.
Oh gosh,
out of the top 4. Your predictions a couple of months ago. You said Chelsea was going to make it into the top 4.
Yep.
And there was a part of me that was like, how can you actually say that? Chelsea are 3rd. Tottenham are
are 4th. They're 4th. Arsenal are not going to beat any team 7-0. Let's get that straight. Away from home.
A friend of mine sent me one of those, when Facebook, like, a place is now safe.
Yeah.
And he said, top 4 is now safe from Arsenal. And like, my issue is like, why are Arsenal and Manchester United so bad? I don't get it.
To be honest with you, I don't know why Manchester United are so bad, to be honest with you. I cannot honestly come up with answers, especially given the fact that after Solskjaer took over, everything...
They should be pushing on.
Yeah, I say they were gunning for the Champions League as well, you know what I mean? So, and they went in for the FA Cup as well. So, I don't know what happened there. It's really a conundrum for me. I honestly have no answers to it, because it's the same players, the same manager, same system.
With more security.
Nobody's got injuries. And I think they've won 2 of their last 9 or 10 games in total. Something crazy like that. In Arsenal's case, I'm kind of not surprised, because essentially Unai Emery, I watched Arsenal Fan TV and I know a lot of the guys were on Unai Emery's case, but essentially Unai Emery is still dealing with a lot of Arsene Wenger's players. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
And he's only had 3 of his players. 3 of those players have actually stepped up for Arsenal in the context of the season. Lucas Torreira, Bernd Leno
Yeah.
and Socrates.
Yeah.
Guendouzi hasn't, Guendouzi is a promising player, but I'm talking about the guys that, regularly start. So he's actually done a lot, with those players, and also the measly budget that he was given.
Yeah.
And he's got more points than Wenger got last season, and he's got one, foot in the Champions
saying
League,
a lot.
in the UEFA Europa League
yeah.
final. So the guy has done well, irrespective of what people may say. Yes, he was supposed to get into the top 4, but I mean, I look at the Tottenham team. The Tottenham team this is a once-in-a-generation team for Tottenham. Teams like that are always going to be good until they get dismantled. So you're not going to easily knock them off their perch, right? Irrespective of whether they did or they didn't spend. And the results that really killed Arsenal was the loss to Crystal Palace, and obviously the one on Sunday against Brighton.
Yeah.
And I don't think
Everton.
That's away from home. The away form has been bad all year round. So to me, that's just, dog bites man, right? But the games at home, and I said this to friends of mine, I'm going to give them a shout out, Atletico Fluhoff, right? I play indoor with them. I don't know if I
Get
said
one of their goalies to play for Bafana.
Matt, no, right? I think I said this I know I said this to them. I'm not sure if I said this on his podcast, but Pierre-Emerick, I said it to you as well.
Yeah.
Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is going to score more goals than he's going to win games for Arsenal. Yesterday culminated in that. He needed to have scored that goal in the last 2 minutes and he fluffed it. And he would have won the game and he's failed. I'm sorry. There are so many players at Arsenal that are overrated. And look, I don't know what Emery's budget is going to be because Stan Kroenke is tight with Arsenal for some odd reason. So that's what we have to deal with. But, Arsenal's failures literally have come, I would probably say, those 2 games specifically, Crystal Palace and Brighton at home, where 4 out of 6 or even 3 out of 6 takes you to the top 4 and they got 1. Disappointment. Gutted.
Now, a certain Loaz isn't here to defend his team or to complain about his team, but even Manchester United, legacy type people, where a certain Aaron Scholes, the son of Paul Scholes, is saying to a player like De Ligt, don't bother coming to Manchester United. Go to Barcelona because we suck.
That was hilarious. I mean, to think that the son of Paul Scholes can go to that extent tells you just how they've dropped. It's quite unfortunate, but that's how the cookie crumbles. Man United, just haven't done a lot. And what I find really funny is the fact that the team was doing well when Ole Gunnar was there on a rescue mission. The moment he was confirmed as manager, it seemed like something just changed in either the way he approached his methods or the way the players reacted to him. I don't know what it is, but they were fine. They had gotten a good run of results up until even the Champions League. The loss coming soon after Ole Gunnar was confirmed as manager. So it makes me wonder if it's not a sign that perhaps he was better off just getting the job done and leaving at the end of the season and maybe getting another manager. I don't know.
Now, Emeka, we're not going to dwell on Liverpool because we're recording this podcast before Manchester City play their penultimate game of the season. So we're going to leave the Liverpool-Manchester City league conversation to episode 37, which is going to be after it's all said and done in the Premier League. Now, in the UEFA Champions League, I posed a question earlier too, and you said maybe I was going ahead of myself. I said, if Ajax reach the UEFA Champions League final, can they beat Barcelona? And you said you think that Liverpool will come back.
No, I don't think. I'm saying you're already assuming that that's.
But is it not safe to say this is 3-0 against a 3-0 deficit against a Barcelona team that has an on-song Lionel Messi?
There were 2 things. I was working on TV on the day of the AC Milan Barcelona.
Oh, okay.
AC Milan Liverpool game at Istanbul. Yes.
Yeah.
And at halftime, I remember being asked if I thought they could get a result, and I said, if they get an early goal, in the second half, maybe that could spoil them and they get the second goal. Then as long as they don't concede, who knows, anything can happen. In my wildest dream, I didn't think it was possible.
Emeka, if Liverpool come back and beat Barcelona, I'm taking you out to dinner. I'm saying it on this. We will take you out to dinner. If Liverpool come back and
can I just say this, right? Last year, Barcelona beat Roma 4-1.
Yeah.
So they had a 3-goal advantage, which is the same sort of deficit that they're going into. The difference is this year around is that they have the sort of players now to deal with that sort of high-paced, physical sort of style that Roma brought at the Stadio Olimpico, right? And that's what Liverpool are going to give them. I mean, the Arturo Vidal is there.
Yeah.
Arthur. Arthur is there. That sort of player to combat that sort of style. And to be honest with you, I've seen Real Madrid with an in-form Cristiano Ronaldo, in-form Bale, Benzema. I don't remember them scoring 4 against Barcelona at the Bernabeu. So I just don't see. I know Liverpool scored 3 against AC Milan, but they didn't score 4. They need 4 this time, and it's at Anfield.
They don't need 4.
Who have Liverpool scored?
They need 3 goals, and then it's game on.
Okay.
And then it's game on. First of all, they have to score 3 to be back in the conversation, and then that's it.
So we need to wrap this conversation up. I'm still going with Ajax. Tottenham, sorry. I think it's going to be Ajax versus Barcelona in the final. Emeka, you're saying
Liverpool versus whoever. I don't care.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we're going to leave it at that. We know what Ola thinks.
Pitch Invasion is the podcast for football tribalists. To contribute to the show, pose a topic of debate, or just complain about your favorite team, send us a WhatsApp voice note on +27 609 216977. That's +27 609 216977. Or send us a text message starting with #Pitch Invasion. Remember to follow the Pitch Invasion podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram under the username Pitch Invaded.
Catch episode 37 next week. Lwazi will be back. Enjoy your weekend.
Cheers.